Hey guys, Jeremy here at My Way MFG. I think I said last video, the next video would probably be a garage video. This is Friday. I'm going to pick up stuff to work on the garage tomorrow, Saturday morning. But for right now, I'm going to post one more Model T video. Then they might be on hold for a week or so until we do another one. But the last video done really well. So I just want to throw another one at the wall, so to speak, and see what happens. Because you never know if there's really a lot of interest in the video or if it's just the YouTube algorithms pushing the video along. So I'm going to do a little experiment here and just post another one. Maybe I can keep my momentum going, you know. So anyway, let's get started and see what we can get done today. See if we can make it look more like a Model T than it did last time. I hope so. In the pictures, that Model T hood had 6 louvers in it, right up there close to the firewall. I just cut some slots in there and took some seamers, folding pliers, and just kind of bent them a little bit. That looks pretty good. Hard to get a visual on it right now because it still looks like a Coleman furnace door. But I think the more we do to this, it's gonna start looking like a Model T hood here pretty soon. It's looking pretty good so far. I left a 1/2 inch all the way around so I could pleat the edges over. So I'm gonna take it back to the brake now. That's actually a pretty good piece of metal. I believe that's probably 20 gauge. Kind of stuff. Some things turn out better than you think they will. Some things worse, but this is one of those things that turned out better. That's a good piece of 20 gauge sheet metal. I got a 1/2 inch folded all the way around the edge and pleated that together. Cut these slots in there that, just going off a picture, they look about right. But this ended up being such a nice rigid hood side that if I had a real Model T, that would probably be good enough to use. That's probably as good as the originals were. But anyway, Let's see if it fits on here. I just hit that with a little bit of that red oxide primer. Get a better visual than that being white with the marker lines and stuff on it. And I've got to say, I ought to be making them, selling them on eBay, because that thing looks good. But anyway, keep going here. I was out here yesterday and these hinges look like door hinges to me for a Model T. And I realized I was wrong. Today they're looking more like hood hinges. So yeah, let's pop these off of here. I got that hung on there with a couple of these little hinges. Maybe I'll put one in the middle too. I'll see how many I got here after a while. But hey, that looks all right. A little red oxide primer on there. I went ahead and painted that board back there with some of that black primer. Just make it look a little different for now until I get something in there. But yeah, hey, that's looking pretty good. It's looking more Model T-ish all the time. This hood won't actually open because I didn't put the hinged seam up at the crown at the very top. It's got to fold in two places to actually lift up, you know. I'd always heard that Rolls-Royce sealed the hoods down on their car and they could only be opened by a certified Rolls-Royce mechanic. So they would document every time that seal was broken, so if you opened the hood on your car, you'd screw your warranty up. They didn't want anybody opening that hood but them. They're certified guys, you know. Here at My Way MFG, it's the same way. That's why I've welded this shut. This can only be worked on by a certified My Way MFG mechanic. And you may find this hard to believe, but I am the only certified My Way MFG mechanic in the world. You're thinking, Jeremy, that's a pretty bold statement. The world is a big place. How could you possibly know that? I know it to be true because I am the only one authorized to hand out the certifications. So, I can hardly believe all the Model T parts I had just sitting around here. I just found another hood side. It was hidden in the back of this Tempstar furnace. They're all over the place. Is that a door handle? That actually had some of that under the hood insulation in it, like they do on newer cars. Somebody must have added that. I got to looking over here. Here's a set of aftermarket high performance headers for a Model T. I didn't know those were out here either. Yeah, right there. I'll be darned. Who would have thunk it? back here at the sheet metal brake with this. You can only bend it so far, but you got to finish it off with hand tools, but you can get a good straight line started so that when you go to finish it off, it's not wonky on you. Just break it as far as you can on all four sides with the brake, and then I done the rest with seamers, you know. Anyway. I got that one on. Primer's kind of drying up. That looks real good to me. As luck would have it, there was two of those Model T hood sides in the scrap pile. I never knew it until I looked real close, but there they were right there in front of me. So we'll see if we can get this one on as well, and then see what we want to do next here. Trying to get the screws out of those hinges for the hood. That gold screwdriver is just about useless. The tip of it's wore out to the point that I think I'm just going to pitch it. Kept seeming like the screws were tighter than they should be. Yeah, it wasn't really that. It's just a screwdriver jumping out of the screw, you know. Cut an angle on the bottom of that. Let's stick it up alongside of the cab. See how it looks. Colton came down this morning, helped me get that heavy stuff out of that room onto the truck. I pulled it out here and just started going through the scrap pile, trying to top my load off. My goal is to maybe get 2 ton on there. I think I'm probably getting close. Thinking to myself as I was throwing those weed eaters up there, I bet there's very few loads that go to the scrapyard without having at least one Chinese weed eater in them. When them things bite the big one, they're gone. I can't never seem to make them work again. Then I was going through and there's a piece of Eliza's trunk floor. You know, there was the hole for the fuel sending unit. I might save that just as a reminder, you know. I saved a piece of the floor pan up front. I might just hang this on the wall of the garage beside that. Just kind of a reminder how bad that car was. It's getting to where you can't really tell it was ever that bad now, you know. Look at the scrap pile, it doesn't look like I've done too much, but if you look at the truck, it does. Anyway, keep loading for a bit here. That futon up there last thing, looks like a good tailgate, right? Anyway, here in a bit, I'll get to a scrapyard, see if I can get there without losing any of this stuff. I gotta do a couple service calls though. That looks better. I tried to save everything that looked like a Model T part. I'm about halfway to the scrapyard with this loaded junk, and it started to rain. Not really what I wanted to see. Hopefully it quits here. As it ended up, I had 1.6 tons on there, $226. Got the wood burner, or coal furnace, I guess I should say, out of my way. Plus a lot of the scrap, so that's good. I found this generic can of black spray paint. I don't know where in the hell it come from, but I started just kind of dusting some black paint over that. It helps give you a good visual, you know, and quite honestly, that might be about all I need to do. I kind of like the way that looks. I've got the rust and the primer showing through and the wood showing through. I think I'm just going to kind of keep doing that and see what I end up with. I might not paint it any better than that because I don't want it to look real good. I want it to, well, I want it to look just like that, actually. So I think I'm kind of happy with that. I've been going off two different pictures mainly on this build, and one of them doesn't have a post up here wide like that. It looks just like a thin piece of, you know, 1 inch. Other picture I have does have a board going up like that, and I decided to do that because without that on there, it looks like the door openings are too wide to me. So that's why I did that. I think that looks better. By the time I added those boards on the front, I don't have my overhang I want on the front anymore. I think I might kind of try to build a visor to put up there maybe. All in all, I think I like that overall look pretty good. I think I'm going to pick up my tools for today and come out here Saturday morning and do just a little bit more, and then probably post this video. But yeah, that's looking pretty Model T-ish. That part underneath the radiator, I still got to do a little more work to. It's just, it needs something more. And I got to get a crank on there of some kind. It's supposed to have a crank hanging down. This side here, I don't have the other board on yet. The hood sides I'm very pleased with. This thing I've got setting on here for radiator cap, Kevin gave to me. It was a horn button off something that had a Ford V8 in it. I don't know what year, but it looks just about perfect on there for a radiator cap. So I'm liking that. I gotta get the radiator shimmed up a little higher. That's what those other boards are doing under there right now. I had too much downward slope in my hood, and when I went to put my sides on, they wouldn't square up properly. None of that's bolted down just yet. And I've been looking everywhere for front wheels. Just about everybody I've talked to, I've asked if they might know where I could get some. Because that's going to be a game changer, getting them front wheels changed. But so far, all the ones I can find are far away. There's a lot of them out there, just none close by. I used to have a lot of little homestead farms around here, just full of outbuildings with old barns and stuff that would have that kind of thing in it. All that stuff's been bulldozed over and turned into cornfields. It's nothing like it was when I was a kid. Years ago, you could have found stuff like that, I'm thinking, but these days it's getting kind of hard to do. But anyway, I'm gonna pick up here in case it rains tonight, get back out here in the morning. I was out here walking around in the garden. Got all this copper and brass laying here. I looked down, I couldn't hardly believe it. Someone left a Model T crank just laying here. Amazing what you can find. It needs a slight modification, I'm thinking. Must be off a different year. This piece I had hanging down front where the crank hole goes didn't look quite symmetrical to me, so my thoughts are I'm going to trace that out on that paper, cut it out, and then fold the paper in half, trim it until it is symmetrical, and then transfer that back over to the metal and see if I end up with something that looks a little better here. Okay guys, I think I found a problem. Right there. So that was really showing up too. That little bit right there. I folded that paper in half and traced it out, you know, so I know it's symmetrical now, and I put it on there. Still doesn't look symmetrical. Still looks crooked or something to me. I found another 30-year-old half can of black spray paint. gonna paint that on there and see if it changes anything, because I got some marker lines and stuff on here that might just be throwing your eye off, you know. I don't know, something don't look right though. See what happens when I paint it. Might just be because all the different colors, you know. Looks better. I'm going to be welding round rod around the perimeter of that. That's going to help too, I think. It's got to be symmetrical. The paper was symmetrical when I folded it. We're just going to go with it. I think it looks fine. Man, I tell you, it's good to have that black paint around here just to kind of do that. You can really see where you're at with stuff. Without it, it's hard to do. You get that visual, you know, when everything kind of looks like a jigsaw puzzle, it's hard to get your visual. That folded piece of paper, I just cut a notch in it right here with a pair of scissors. Ought to give us the center for our crank hole. Yeah, got a crank in there. Had a hole saw going through that piece of metal with, and pilot bit wasn't out very far. It jumped out of the hole and it took a little trip up through here, hung out up in here for a bit before I caught him, brought him home. That's all right, we just threw a little paint there. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's looking all right. I think probably next time we work on this, might try to build a visor. You know, I still got to nail the roof down too. Get that other upright board on the other side by the windshield frame, the other piece of glass, and then try to build a visor. Like to see what that looks like, you know. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep looking for wheels. Hopefully something will show up. I think that's about as far as we're going to get in this round, but it sure does look better than it did at the beginning of the video. Looks more like a Model T all the time. You guys that have been following along since the first video, I believe this is going to be video number 5. I'll try to put all this on a playlist maybe. But you guys have been here all along, you know what's going on. A few of you guys that just came new to the channel, maybe you don't, unless you've watched all the other videos. I don't know if you have or not, but what happened here is the back of that, the green part, that was a cart that my great-grandpa built. I'll try to show a picture of it here before I started. But anyway, he died in 1981. I think I was 10 years old. And my uncle wanted this cart real bad because he rode in it when he was a little kid. His grandpa used to take him for rides, you know. So my uncle took this cart, kept it at his farm. Last year he died, and he'd had a farm auction and he didn't sell this. He wanted to keep it for his whole life, you know, which wasn't very long after the auction. My mom tells me I need to go get it because I'm the only one in the family that would take it. Nobody wanted it, you know. I got it home, I'm like, what am I gonna do with this? Use it for a decoration. It wasn't very decorative. I had no use for it as a utility cart. I thought if I leave it outside, the boards are gonna get rotten. But it's kind of irrelevant because my uncle's already replaced the boards on it anyway, so he could use it, so they're not the boards Grandpa put on it. I was out here looking at it one day thinking, what the hell am I gonna do with this? I tried to give it to every other family member I could think of. I was stuck with it. Anyway, I looked at it and I thought, that looks like the back of a Model T truck. Here we are. But I said I wasn't gonna spend any money on this. I was just gonna use what I had laying around. So far, the only thing I bought is 2 sheets of marine plywood, which was very poor quality, by the way. I bought 2 8-foot 2x2s, and I think 4 deck boards in there. Maybe it was 3, and a box of screws. So this thing has actually risen from the ashes of that scrap pile. It's amazing to me that looks as good as it does. There's no Model T parts whatsoever on this, and it looks like a Model T. Isn't that weird? But it's all just junk. All come out of the scrap pile. My wife and son says, we're gonna set it on the corner just for decoration, you know, out front. My wife and son says, you're putting a hell of a lot of work into that for a yard ornament. They want to see me get it running, put like a small engine on there and have like a parade car, something that'll go 15 miles an hour, you know, for a parade or driving around town. It's starting to look so good. It does need to be more than what it is, I'm thinking. So I'm not going to fully commit to it yet, but I'm thinking, you know, like a 14, 16 horse old Wisconsin engine or something with one of those, you know, torque clutches with the 2 pulleys and the belt, you know, I think they call them torque clutches. I'd have to put steering on it. I don't know. It's very likely, maybe someday this might drive. We'll just have to see. But anyway, I want to thank all of you for watching. Might be a couple videos in between before we get back to this because I've got to start working on the garage. But just stick along, watch the other videos. They're fun too, right? And then we'll get back to this. And for all the Eliza people and stuff, we'll get back to that too. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, subscribing. Please like, comment, share. Jeremy, later.